would be very overused, but it is just stay focused. I don't know. I feel like every time I used to watch these videos, and probably still will, where it's like, this is how you get the best grades. This is how you achieve your like ultimate high achieving perfect student grades. When I say stay focused, I mean create a plan of what you want to study, roughly time block how long it's going to take you to study each topic with breaks included, and then just stick to that plan. That's all you have to do, because realistically, when you try and juggle multiple things at the same time, you find yourself less focused for each thing you're trying to juggle. But if you have it structured in a plan, and you have step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and you know that you need to study for organic chemistry, then you need to take a 15-minute break, and then you need to go back to organic chem, and then maybe you have to then, okay, you've studied organic chem for the day, maybe then you go into biology, or maybe then you go on to English lit, like whatever it is that you need to dedicate time to. Create a plan instead of like create, I don't know how many, don't put too many things on the plan. So that is also just a massive PSA. Don't put too many things on the plan, because you'll find yourself frustrated if you can't achieve all of them in the same day, and you'll find yourself like, well, I didn't tick everything off my plan, I didn't tick everything off my to-do list, so then I've done nothing for the day, which isn't true. Just make sure that when you're creating the plan, it's more of a focused, it feels like an intentional plan. So you know you have an exam coming up, okay, you need to revise for the content of that exam, or study the content for that exam. You know that there's a weaker area, so then you pinpoint what area of that subject that you need to study for. The main reason you do this is so that you don't study things you already know. If you're studying things you already know, you're not really learning, you're just trying to reassure yourself that you know it, but you're only studying this part of the topic that you know, not the part you don't know, which means that when you go into the exam, you'll be able to answer that question easily, and then everything else might be more of a struggle. So instead of going back over what you already know, you target what you don't know, which is usually a cause for like, I don't really want to go and look at that because I don't get it and I don't understand it. But the more time you put towards trying to understand it and trying to get it by using different avenues such as books and Google and tutoring and asking your teacher directly and asking your friends or your peers, when you exercise all those avenues, you'll find yourself with a little bit more of an understanding of how that certain topic works. Tip number 1 really is just create a plan, focus on the plan, stay focused, and each day your plan can change, but as long as you make an intentional, focused, actionable plan for the day, that is going to serve you so well, because it means that you're hitting the goals that you need to be hitting to get you one step closer to achieving the main goal of doing well. And it's well by your standards as well. I mean, perhaps as well by what the teacher sets as like, a grade, a passing mark and stuff. But as long as you know you've tried your hardest, that is the biggest thing, is knowing that you've tried your hardest. I know that I definitely put everything into it, and so I can be proud of myself that I studied for it hard, I revised for it hard, and it wasn't just like, okay, whatever, like I'm just gonna try. Like, you actually put in the work, regardless of the grade, you put in the work, and that it almost instills a confidence in you where you're like, okay, well, I know that I have the capability to put in work, to study for an exam, to revise for an exam, to get that one step closer to that goal. Because even if you don't get the most amazing grade that you wanted, you learn about what you don't know. So the questions you didn't get right, you now know, okay, that's a topic, that's a subject area where I need to focus on because I didn't get that right. And then that's just something else you can add to your arsenal once you understand that. So step 1 is just creating an actionable, intentional, focused plan and sticking to it. Step number 2 is to, I will say practice the Feynman technique. Now, the Feynman technique basically states that if you can explain the concept or topic to somebody who knows nothing about it, say it's a child, or say it's a grandparent, or someone who just doesn't know anything about it, or someone from a different discipline, then it shows that you have a level of understanding, because you can break it down into a more manageable context almost. So it's almost like if you're a genetic counselor, you're breaking down the origin or root of diseases, heritable diseases along the family line, but you're making sure that the patients know in more layman's terms what is going on with a genetic disease that maybe runs through their family, or their probability of getting it, or if they can inherit it, if it is inheritable, or if it's sex-based, anything like that. That is what that is what the Feynman technique basically is. It's being able to explain a concept to somebody who knows nothing about it. The reason why I think that is a great technique, and so many other people have talked about it as well, this is nothing new at all. Like if you've been on StudyTube or even just typed in how to study for the perfect grades, you would have seen the Feynman technique. And it literally just means that, can you explain this thing that you're studying? Do you understand it enough to explain it to somebody who knows nothing about it? And I think the reason why I love that technique is because if I know that I can explain a concept to you without you having any background in, say, science, I'm like, okay, great, I do know it, because I can also change the way that I talk about it and it still be correct and accurate to somebody who knows nothing about it. And it still means that, yes, I've then reestablished my understanding in it because I've changed the way that I've been able to express the information. Although right now I'm not doing a great job at expressing what I mean. The Feynman technique, which is the definition right here. If you know how to explain it to somebody who knows nothing about it, you know how to answer questions that are linked to it kind of in a different scenario, it just helps you. So Feynman technique is definitely tip number 2. Just get that down, whatever it is, electrolysis, whatever it is, citric acid cycle, you know how that works, you're good. Like, and that's just, I'm sorry about the white balance. I know it's just getting brighter and brighter and brighter, and I've literally tried so hard. It's the 3rd tip, because we've had a plan, the Feynman technique, and now we're talking about past papers. Now, obviously, everybody always says, use the past papers, use past papers. Yes, but there's a way to do that. So when you're taking a past paper, what you first want to do is get a past paper within the first 2 years of the past. So say you're in 2023, you'll get a past paper from 2022 or 2021. But yes, we're in 2025, so you're going to get a paper from 2024 or 2023. Then you're going to take that first past paper without any preparation. Just answer the questions as you usually would. After answering that past paper, you then look at what you got right and look at what you got wrong by looking at the answers. The reason you do that is because you can identify gaps in your knowledge when taking an exam paper under exam conditions. Massive reason you're taking past papers is to prep yourself for being able to answer questions in an exam condition, or in exam conditions basically. So when you're taking this past exam paper for the first time, you take it with no preparation, then you look at your answers, at the answers, and then you go back and see what you got right and what you got wrong. What you got wrong is what you focus on. If you got it right already, the chances are that you're going to get it right in the exam as well. Chances are, if you need a refresh, have a mini refresh, but don't focus too hard on what you got right. Focus on what you did not get right, and then you go back over those specific topics and study those. Now, if you have really good memory and you think that when you retake that paper again, you'll remember the correct answers, but you haven't really learned anything, take another exam past paper from the same time period, but make sure it's a different one, and take that one again with no preparation, and then check your answers and look back at what you got right, what you got wrong, and fill that in for your understanding. Basically what you're doing there is you're consistently exposing yourself to those exams conditions and those types of exam questions, so that when you take your real exam, it's not going to feel as daunting. You're really trying to minimize your reaction to being in those exam conditions, and in timed exam conditions with no speaking, invigilators. Not really when you're doing it by yourself, but you will have invigilators. You're just trying to train your response time to being able to take exam papers concisely with the correct information, and make sure that you're answering every question. You're really just trying to it's almost like timekeeping and being precise. A lot of exam questions, besides the fact that they'll say explain further, usually it's just another 2 lines of reasoning. The 4th tip is a really quick tip. Basically, it's study the material first and then study with others. A lot of people like to study together, and whilst that is a good thing, I also think that it can be quite distracting if you really don't understand what's going on and you're looking to others to help you, but they've already kind of got the content down and they're looking for you to help them with a certain part that you may know and you may be able to help them, but by the end of it you're like, well, what did I actually study? Like, what did I really get from that? What you really want to do is make sure that you've reviewed the content before you study with somebody else, so that you can help yourself gain a deeper understanding when you're studying with somebody else, and you can also refresh your understanding of a previous topic that you thought you understood, and they're asking you questions about it, and then you can explain it to them. So it's actually another way of practicing the Feynman technique as well, because not only are you helping somebody else study by practicing the 5-minute technique and explaining the concept to them in simpler terms, it's also helping you to understand the concept more, because you're having to change the way you speak about it, which is what I talked about in probably the second tip, I believe. Yes, that is the fourth tip. It's a really quick tip. Just make sure that you study the material first and then study with others, because there's nothing worse than finishing studying with others for 2 hours and you come back and you're like, well, what did I study? Like, I don't feel like I got anywhere with that. And yes, maybe you had a fun time. Maybe it's for socialization purposes. Mainly for me, when I was study with other people, it was kind of more for like a socialization aspect rather than a learning aspect. It did obviously involve some learning. Oh my god, the whiteboard. It did. Oh my god. The sun. Okay, it's fine. It did obviously include some learning as well, like, oh, did you understand this? Oh, I understood that, let me help you. That did happen, but mainly it's not enough for me to get a concept fully. I need to be able to review it by myself. Personally for me, and what I recommend for other people, is really just review it by yourself, come to a level of understanding, ask other people, then ask your teacher, and then you can finally find out. Because sometimes people can also be confused in the lecture or the class, and you're like, well, did you understand what he meant by this, and what does this slide even mean? And if you're both confused together, sometimes that's great, but then it's also like, okay, what do you do then? So you have to talk to your teacher. Just make sure that you understand at least a base level of what you're trying to study with others before you go and study with them, because if you come with nothing, people already have pre-studied. And I think some people will say that they don't, like, oh, I don't understand this subject at all. Like, they'll be like, oh, I just haven't studied. But then when you're studying with them, it's clear that they've studied. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, just be obvious. Like, just be upfront. If you've studied, you've studied. That's okay. But the reason we're doing this is for learning and socialization. It's not really for you to lecture me or me to lecture you, unless it's something that we've pre-agreed on and you've said, hey, I think that you've got this understanding of this topic, or do you have an understanding of this topic? If so, can you maybe teach it to me? What that really does is just help another student see it from your point of view that maybe the teacher missed, because they've got such a background in the subject that they've got a lot of expert knowledge, that maybe they're using a few difficult terms to understand, or different terms that are not as easily comprehensible. But when you ask your peer, you're like, oh, that's what he meant. So yes, study with others, but also study first by yourself, understand the concept, the base concept at least, then study with others. Okay, the fifth and final tip is eat well and sleep well. Now, I will put my hands up. Like, I will literally put my hands up and tell you that this is something that took me... I'm still learning. I'm still trying to do this well. Eat well and sleep well. That means eat when you feel as though you need to eat. So some people don't necessarily need 3 meals a day. Don't quote me. I know that it's like probably recommended. It just depends how your body works. Obviously, talk to your doctor if you feel like you need a different sort of plan, or a nutritionist if you need nutrition advice. But just as long as you're eating, you should be okay. And also eat the right stuff too. So I guess that kind of contradicts what I just said, but you need to be eating things that are beneficial to your health, give you energy, and don't make you have energy crashes. Because when you're trying to study and you have an energy crash, not only does it distract you, it also means that you're like, so you study so much slower with an energy crash. Yes, you're hyped for like 1 hour, and then for the rest of the 3 hours that you need to be studying, it's a slog. It's a really hard thing to do. I am sorry with this light. Oh, I'm shining. Oh, okay. I feel like I've crashed out like 3 times in this video. It's not on purpose. It's just that, like, I don't know. I don't know, but yeah. I'm probably gonna cut that out. Okay, anyway. Make sure that you eat well and you sleep well. So sleep, you should be getting at least 5 hours plus, and eating, you should be eating things that rejuvenate your energy and don't take away from it. So say you can have coffee, that's okay, but that comes with quite the energy crash, depending on how much you're having and if you're drinking coffee correctly. So drinking coffee correctly really means that you drink your coffee, you have a nap, you wake up, and then the coffee is supposed to be more effective as it hits after you've napped. However, a lot of people drink coffee and then just carry on with their day and hope that it kicks in and the caffeine hit kicks in. I'm pretty sure both ways you have an energy crash, but I think the first way is the best way to do it. Actually, I used to drink sugar-free Red Bull and I loved it. But it wasn't the best for me because I did get a lot of energy crashes. I would usually have it when a lecture was for 2 hours, and I would have it within the second hour so that I could stay awake and the energy crash would happen when I leave the classroom. Because when you have it in the first hour, you have an energy crash at the first break, and then it lasts until in midway through the second half. So it's just not good. Anyway, you should just have foods that revitalize your energy and nutritionally good for you, rather than foods that give you a quick energy boost and then ensure you have an energy crash, rather than something that slowly helps build up your energy over time. Now, everyone's bodies are different, and you definitely need to make sure you eat what works well for your body. I'm not saying you have to eat the most healthiest, but you just need to eat something that retains your energy. And I'd also suggest that you have a meal plan for when you're studying, because when you're studying and when you're not studying obviously looks very different. So your meal should reflect what period of your time you're dedicating certain tasks to. So if you're studying, you should need to have meals that are quick, easy, accessible, and easily digestible as well. Whereas if you're not studying and you're more on a break, you can eat whatever, not whatever you want, but it's a lot more freedom that you'll find that you have when you're not studying. So if you're studying and you decide to make yourself a roast dinner, you're gonna feel sleepy, you're gonna feel tired, and it's just not even gonna help you study your content, because you'll just be digesting your food and using the majority of your energy to digest your food rather than to focus on what you're studying. However, if you're studying and you have more of a lighter snack and you consistently snack throughout the day, so you don't get to that point of hunger and really feeling like you need something to eat right now, you need to stop everything to eat. But if you have like pre-prepped snacks, say you have a snack of walnuts, or you have almonds, or you have tangerines, or you have, I don't know, slices of grapefruit, slices of apple, whatever it is that is quick and easy accessible. Maybe it's apple and peanut butter with a sprinkle of cinnamon, something like that is a quick and easy meal to have whilst you're studying, and it can help with your energy levels as well. Obviously citrus foods like grapefruit, lemon, even yellow bell pepper can help, and oranges can help with your attention, because it's giving you, I guess, energy. It's giving you energy to sustain yourself whilst you're studying. But yeah, I definitely suggest, if you are studying, you eat well and you sleep well. Now, sleep, I know, again, everybody is different, and you're going to be able to know how long you need to sleep compared to what is just not enough. So most people are 5 hours plus, but you may be different. Maybe you operate on a different type of sleep. You just need to make sure you're sleeping long enough to be revitalized when you wake up. But sometimes people can sleep for 11 hours and wake up tired. It's like you slept for too long. So everyone is different. You just need to figure out what works for you and your body in terms of sleep and eating well, and also speak to a nutritionist if you need extra help with deciding what your body actually needs, what you're deficient in as well. So that's also speaking to your doctor to making sure that you have more of a balanced diet. Everyone's diet looks different because everybody's body is different. So yeah, those are my 5 tips to, I guess, studying better and feeling better about studying and taking exams and knowing how to study. Those are my 5 tips on how to do that. Well, what worked for me, and hopefully it will work for you too. Also, I'd like to say I definitely crashed out a little bit in this video, because of the lighting, but it's okay. Not deep at all, it's fine. And I just hope that this video helped you to think about maybe what systems you have in place, and if there's anything that you can change to make that system more of an effective system for you, and something that can work in your benefit rather than hinder you, something that can help you just get to where you need to be and to achieve your goals with small little interconnected habits, and really just habit stacking, I suppose. I know you've probably heard of it, but yeah, habit stacking. If you do one thing and you want to implement a new habit on top, just implement it on an old habit you already have. So if you study really well with classical music and you also need to drink more water, every time you put in the classical music to study, you have a water right there so that you're drinking more water and studying really well. Something like that, something small, simple and helpful. Yeah, and that is what I hope that you garnered from this video. Thank you. Yeah. Okay.